everybody, welcome to another edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. This is the show we talk about sports with comedians. And if you guys know what I know, you know the show's going to be funny because we're going to throw out the hot topics and everything else. We're going to have the comics talk about what's going on with them and how things are in their world, and then dive into the world of sports. Let's bring up my man Fig. He's in the building. Fig, what's happening? What's popping?
Hey man, what you do? For some reason, I ain't expect to be first, because talent is always first. Where's talent?
I don't know. We're going to have to find out. But Mike Sean's in the building. Mike Sean, what's happening, bro?
What up, fellas? What's good? What's good? What's good?
Oh, hold the phone. What's up, sexy?
Yeah, had to be a little Dell today. Had to be a little Dell. Had to get my ad out on. Yeah.
Looking good, Mike.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, so let's get ready to jump into it because we got a lot of breaking news, man. I don't know if you guys been hearing about the breaking news that jumped off, man. The first thing that broke that I saw, well, that wasn't the first thing, but the most recent is that the Fig Justin Verlander has just signed with the Mets.
Yeah.
$2-year, $86 million deal with the Mets. He's got now. For those of you who don't know, my man's got a ERA out there of 1.75. He got the lowest ERA of starting pitchers out there in the game. But he's 39. He's gonna be 40 right now, and the Mets got him for 2 years. So, Fig, I know Mets Nation is happy about this. What's your thoughts on signing basically a 40-year-old to start and be the leading ace of your rotation and the baseball thing that's going on? What's your take, Fig?
Like with today's sports technology, it seems like players are playing longer. And I would say in pitching, it would probably somehow to me pitching sort of coincides with the NFL QB.
Right.
And I wouldn't imagine that he wouldn't be great for 2 years. He was amazing this past season. And we talked about how much money the Mets had. We was thinking that if Aaron Judge was to leave the Yankees, that the Mets would possibly be a possibility, and the man wouldn't have to sell his home. He wouldn't have to leave his where he lives and move his family and uproot. You know what I mean? So the Mets have a lot of money, and I'm not surprised that they were looking for somebody of the caliber of Verlander, because the Mets were right there before the end of the season. They were right there contending, and possibly, we were talking about it, it may be a Subway Series for the World Series. So I'm not surprised, and pleasantly so.
So, Mike Sean, the Mets lost one of their best starting pitchers, their leading rotation ace guy. They lost him on Thursday or Friday with DeGrom, I think his name is. They end up getting Justin Verlander, who's better. So I think the Mets don't lose a step, honestly, because Verlander's ERA is lower by about 2% or 3%, or actually 2 points. I'm not sure because it just came on and I didn't get a chance to dive into it. But Justin Verlander ended up coming in. I don't think they missed a beat. You know what I mean? I don't think they missed a beat. What's your take on this, man, with the Mets getting Verlander?
Well, when they let they didn't let DeGrom go. The Texas Rangers signed him to a $180 million contract, so they weren't going to guarantee that, especially with his his physical ailments that seem to pop up every season. He's a great pitcher. He just can't stay healthy. He's the Jimmy G of pitchers in Major League, like actually. And Verlander is one of those old school pitchers that eats up innings. Like he's a dude that really takes up innings and doesn't. Your bullpen normally gets the rest, or you still got to use them. You got to use them. Rarely do people pitch full games now, but he's a perfect fit. He's reliable. He's durable. That being said, with the Mets' luck, the first pitch he throws, he'll probably need Tommy John surgery. But it's a great pickup, and they realize, even with Aaron Judge, like he hit 61 home runs, and your team still gets eliminated in the first round of the playoffs.
Right.
So they know what it is: pitching, more pitching, relief pitching, short relief pitching, long everything's pitching.
Pitching, jungle. I wanted to talk about Baker Mayfield. He got released too, but before we dive into Baker Mayfield news, I wanted to talk about right now the Deion Sanders thing, because on Saturday, Deion Sanders made a decision, and right now the internet is really upset. There's two sides to this story. A lot of people are taking one side versus the other side. I want to see what you guys say what your take is, and then I leave my take. But here's the story: Deion Sanders leaves JSU after 3 years. He's bringing a lot of his staffers and a lot of his players over with him. He signed on with Colorado. He went from $300,000 a year to $5 million a year. He went from an HBCU to a D1 school. He brought his son with him, who's QB. His son is now QB in a D1 school. And Deion Sanders, who claimed at the time that he was for the right of helping HBCUs get out there and everything else, but now he took everything he brought with him. Seems like JSU is going to be right where they left off. But before I give you my thoughts and everything else, tell me what your thoughts are on Deion Sanders signing with Colorado, which is D1 school. Fig, where you at with it?
Well, here's the thing. People say he was for HBCUs. So he was with JSU. He brought them from a losing program to a winning program. He upgraded the facilities, got them equipment and stuff like that, got them sponsors, put them on television. He had a 4-year deal, the 4th year being the option, and he was there for 3 years. So basically, his tenure was up. When his tenure is up, somebody offers him $5.9 million when he was getting paid $300,000. I know people have the children in mind, the students, the athletes, but the athletes, blue chip athletes, can go wherever they want. They don't have to go to HBCUs. They don't have to go to lesser schools. They can go wherever they want. But his coaching staff get exponentially elevated in salary. So it's not just Deion. His entire coaching staff is going to get a raise from $300,000 to $5.9 million is what he's getting. Now, Deion Sanders may not need that kind of money. I'm not counting nobody's pocket, but I looked. I was like, well, man, maybe he left because he needed the money. But when I checked, Deion Sanders is worth $40 million. So maybe he's not going to get on anybody's soup line or be starving. But that's a major upgrade. And I don't know anybody that works for a living, whether it be passion or by necessity, that doesn't take that kind of leap in salary from $300,000 to $5.9 million. I can't imagine an individual that would take that unless the job is you're going to have to tie slaves to a tree and beat them unmercifully. Like, who's not going to take that? It's like a no-brainer to me.
Okay, Mike Sean, what's your take on this, bro? Where are you at with Deion Sanders leaving JSU and going to Colorado? Where you at?
In the famous words of Deion Sanders himself, must be the money turning me on, must be the money. Don't bring up this is the problem I have. I can't tell any human being in this world to turn down a total of $25 million. I can't. But what I can do is I can say, stop spreading propaganda throughout the world and stop saying God is leading me to Colorado. God could have led you all you wanted. If all they offered you was $700,000, you wouldn't have went. You wouldn't have went there. You went there because you want to be validated, because instead of being Eddie Robinson, you want to be Nick Saban. You want to be validated by being in a Power 5 school. You want your team to be on ESPN. This is ego and money. This ain't got nothing to do. Now, the problem I really have with Deion is when you spread the propaganda for 3 years that it's not about the money. He said it repeatedly. It's not about the money. I got money. He bragged in that microphone and said it's not about that. It's about changing the way HBCUs are looked upon and how they're treated. Now, all the great things you did will now be retracted. He took the foundation from it, and I'm not mad. I'm just saying, say what it really is. Don't say God sent you to Colorado. Don't tell me this, because I'm tired of people bringing up God when they want to put a shine on shit. Just say what it is. Listen, if Donald Trump offered me $25 million to do 30 minutes, I would do it. And I would tell people the truth. I wouldn't say because I'm trying to bring races together. I'm trying to bring differences together. No, I'm doing it for the 25 million, homie.
Yeah,
and the fact, wait. And the fact that not only are you going to leave Jackson State, but you're going to take the best players with you. And we know in college, the way you get players is recruiting. And Deion is a master recruiter. He knows Jackson State will never be the same again. And I'm not mad. I don't want anybody to think I don't call him a sellout, even though this is the definition of sellout, but that's not coming out my mouth. I'm not calling him that because I understand the money. What I'm saying is you said this was more than the money for 3 years.
All right. My man, Dave, the business bully, has joined the show. Dave, man, talk to me. Tell me what your thoughts are. And I know you know all about Deion Sanders leaving. Let's retract. Let's just revisit this real fast. Deion Sanders signed the 3-year commitment to one of the lowest HBCUs, JSU, Jackson State University. He changed the culture and everything else. Now he just signed a $5 million contract, 5.3, 5.7, whatever it is. Per year contract with Colorado. What's your take on this? You know about it. Some of your children go to HBCU, so you probably know more about this intimately than a lot of us would be. So what's your thoughts, Dave? Dave, you're on mute.
That was God keeping me from cussing Michael Sean out. No, good to see you, Frank, fellas. It's all good. Listen, this is going to take me a little bit, so I'm going to ask for a little bit of latitude here. The first thing I want to say is, full disclosure, I worked with and for Deion Sanders on his reality show and in radio. Him and Samora and I, we did a morning show fill-in type of situation, which was really good when Ricky Smiley was off on his. Okay, anyway, so I will tell you that I understand this man better than the average bear. Yeah, he did it for the money, but here's my issue with everybody else. First of all, before Deion Sanders came along, when was the last time anybody's black ass thought about a Jackson State who didn't go to Jackson State? Oh, I'm sorry, never. On top of that, can we talk about the serious financial corruption that has taken place throughout HBCUs just in my lifetime? Forget the 200-year history HBCUs have in this country. Let's just talk about it in my lifetime. Cheney lost its accreditation. Bethune-Cookman College lost its accreditation. Howard University, where my daughter attended, and I paid $151,383.63 cash, had kids living in a tent city when the vice president of the United States is one of their alums. So I'm trying to understand, is the outrage with Deion Sanders and not with all of these corrupt individuals who've done nothing for these kids? And on top of that, let's not act like anybody was worried about boosting the fact that the lowest alumni financial contribution rate happens to be with HBCU alums. And then you want to talk about programs? Can we talk about the fact that nobody shows up to games? There are more people who go to WNBA preseason games than they do to HBCU football games, unless you're Grambling or Tennessee State. Like, so can we stop with all this selective Negro outrage at Deion for doing what Deion does? Because you sound like a bunch of cornball ass hypocrites as far as I'm concerned. Because at the end of the day, Deion did more to elevate that program than all of you Negroes did in past 200 years. So right. Yeah,
what is that? So let me just say something. You want to talk about the corruption? He went from one corrupt organization to the biggest corrupt organization in college sports. So he went from one person who did corruption to the real corruptness of college sports, who has milked these players for hundreds of years in $1 billion industry. And just now, they're still not playing the players.
All right, Rodney Bird joined the show. Rodney, tell me what your thoughts are, because you get your chance to chime in on this Deion Sanders. Dave, were you finished? I didn't want to interrupt.
I mean, last quick point. Michael Sean, you work for Radio 1 and you work for K104. The system in and of itself is corrupt. That's just the system. Ain't nothing you can do about it. You have performed at large venues with shady ass promoters, and you've performed at small venues with shady ass promoters. We know what the business is. His job is not to change the business. His job is to bring light to it. He did his job. So if you're going to get mad at him, get mad at all the black people who let corruption a whole lot bigger, especially in athletics, go and get their just due too, instead of putting it all on Deion Sanders like he's the whipping boy. That's the only point I got to make.
Let Rodney go. Hold on. Let Rodney say his point. Go ahead, Rodney.
Before Rodney, can I just say one thing, Frank? Dave, you looking mighty slender there, sir. Good, congratulations.
Thank you. 283 pounds, but who's counting?
Rodney, where you at with this, bro? First of all, thank you for joining the show. Where you at with this?
No, absolutely, gentlemen. Please forgive my tardiness. Here goes, man. Dave, you're right. Michael Sean, you're right. Why does it hurt? It hurts because it hurts the same reason it hurts that your dad left and didn't come back. Okay, it's not that. It's not that a guy named Prime that made a song called "It Must Be the Money" is not going to get the money. I don't doubt it for 1 second, but the fact that we believed him.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean,
Thank
the
you.
guy said, "You know what? I'm not going to get the money." But the reality is, it's easy to say you're not going to get the money when there's no money.
Bingo.
It's easy to say that.
Of course.
And now there's money. And so Deion had to make the tough decision. I hope he don't pilfer the organization. They say his son is going to stay there, who is a stellar player.
His son's leaving. His son's going to Colorado with him.
He already had a hat on. He already had the hat on.
He's going with him. He's taking half the coaching staff and he's taking half the players. And he already told half the players in Colorado that they need to go to the transfer portal. They put that video up last night. So he's changing both organizations.
Hey, you know what? At the end of the day, we always talk about black coaches getting these great jobs, and he got one. And he got the money to go along with it. I'm not happy about it, but you know, I can't say I wouldn't have done the same thing given the same situation.
All right, let me just say my point, and then we can move on because.
But this is an important topic. So if we don't move on immediately, I mean, this is an important topic. Like this.
Yes,
First, let's move on to something that ain't important.
I can move on to something that ain't important.
Go ahead, Frank Holder.
Mom, I just want to leave my last point on this point right real fast. And my only issue with this whole thing is some of you guys raised it too, is that, you know, he came into the HBCU, JSU, he brought in a lot of money, he brought in a lot of players, he brought in a lot of equipment and everything else like that. And he got everybody believing him. And let's not forget all of the lives of the kids who are attending the HBCUs. He's changed. And now with him leaving, he's going to change a lot of their lives too. That's my only problem. Well, that's probably my biggest problem is because of the lives that he's changing for these HBCUs. And we all know HBCUs, they need the money. They need the attention. They need all of that. But Baker Mayfield ended up getting released too, Fig. So there was a big topic with that this morning too. So that jumped off right before we got on the air, Fig. So I was like, damn, I wanted to see how you guys are feeling with that, because we all know there's a San Francisco 49ers ended up, you know, losing the QB. So where we at with Baker Mayfield being released at right now with that one, Fig? What's your thoughts on that? Fig?
I'm like, you know, we was okay. No, because we were talking about something that was seemingly really important to like to Baker Mayfield. You know, I felt like I went from Madison Square Garden to, you know, some hole in the wall club. But anyway,
here's the problem. Here's the problem with this thing. Here's the issue. People who are San Francisco 49ers fans, people who are fans of the NFL are going to look at this as big news, because Baker Mayfield could be wearing a 49er uniform in 48 hours. That's tough.
I don't know why the kid that played yesterday looked quite serviceable. So I wouldn't be jumping out. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers was available, I'd be like, oh, now that's a story. But Baker Mayfield, he got cut from his last team, and this is the second team that he got cut from. So I mean, I don't know why anybody would be killing themselves.
Let me just ask you all, since everybody's here, if you guys want to continue to talk about Deion, because I think I'm really upset about. Yeah, I'm really upset about that. Then let's do that. Mike, give me your top. What you said you wanted to say something about Deion. I mean, go ahead, say your point.
I stated my point in the beginning, and I want to make it clear. I can never tell a human being to turn down $25 million total in a contract. I can't do that. What I'm saying is this ploy has been used for hundreds of years. Throw money when they see something is starting to build. When we want to destroy it, toss some money at it, because when Nick Saban started complaining about Deion Sanders, that's when I knew that Deion Sanders was doing something historical at Jackson State. And that is, once again, I did not, unlike other people calling him a sellout, I would never call that man a sellout, because I don't know all the stuff that he did for those kids is amazing. My problem is, ever since, we can go as far back as throwing money at welfare recipients and saying the only way you can get it in a
Black
black
man
home
at the house.
is get the black man at the house or the Hispanic man out the house. My problem with this is they saw something building. They saw 5-star athletes going to this place. That's my disappointment. Now, Deion Sanders can easily say, it's not my responsibility to save HBCUs, and he'd be 100% correct. My problem is, at some point, if Martin Luther King would have been offered a job, and I'm not comparing Deion to Martin Luther King, please work with the analogy. If the U.S. government had offered Martin Luther King a great job to end, you can't be the civil rights leader, but you can work here and you can create change here, which is what Deion's trying to say. The civil rights movement would have fell apart just like it fell apart when Malcolm X and Martin Luther King died.
Somebody has to throw. I had to talk with Talent last night. We were at the comedy show, and I said, Talent, this is the point that stick out to me. Is some schools stepped up and threw $5 million at him because they almost have had a discussion, right? Threw $5 million, and they decided, you know what, mathematically, we could give him $5 million, or we could lose billions. Because at the rate he's going with the HBCUs, he's going to turn the whole tide and change everything. And Deion was on the path of doing that. He was recruiting Eddie George. He's recruiting Emmitt Smith. He's recruiting a whole lot of ex-NFL players to become head coaches. And I think that movement was definitely a positive one. It would have changed a lot of people's lives. So I'm upset that the fact that he decided to leave, because now I don't think Eddie George and these guys are going to keep going. Well, go ahead, Vic.
My thing is, I understand that, and I'm in agreement wholeheartedly that and this has been what I've been preaching, and then people always say, well, you know, that'll never happen. So here's my point, is that this is something that we could have done, or we could do collectively as a group of people. But unfortunately, Black people, our people, don't do stuff like that. We don't get together and galvanize and make a groundswell to where things happen. We always look for a savior. And then when the savior doesn't do what we expect him to do, then we're all disappointed. We all go back to our collective homes and nobody does anything. Deion Sanders is not a savior. You understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, everything the stuff that he did, the attention that he brought to HBCUs, it's like Dave said, if Black people would just get off their behind and do something yourself, if you cared about what an HBCU was before Deion Sanders got there, if you talked about JSU before Deion Sanders got there, if you talked about any of these other programs or organizations, they would be relevant, because guess what? We are popular culture and we do move the needle, but we can't always look for a savior. Sometimes it has to happen from the ground up instead of from the top down.
Hey, Dave, I got a question for you, Dave.
Sure.
You got a daughter at HBCUs. You see it more intimately than a lot of us. I think even Rodney Perry has a child in the HBCU too. So
my grandson is in the HBCU right now.
Okay, well, there you go. So, Dave, my question to you is, bro, is now that Deion is gone, now that he's obviously out the door and everything else, do you think it's going to be another NFL, or hell, any other professional athlete who's going to step to the plate and look at the landscape and see what Deion did and say, you know what? Deion started taking the torch. He lit the torch. He started walking down the path. Do you think it's going to be another player of that magnitude to pick it up and continue on marching with that? Or do you think this whole ground swelling movement of what Deion has done over the last 3.5 years is going to come to a halt? What's your take?
Of Deion's caliber, absolutely not. Eddie George is dope. I like Eddie George. I love Tennessee State. I did a lot of work with Tennessee State when I lived and worked in Nashville. The problem is, here's the gag. They've got money for homecoming. They got money to give Lil Baby $500,000 for a concert. They got money to build out a stadium. They got money for all this various and sundry BS that does not help Black people when they stop matriculating at those schools, but they don't have money to feed the program, to make it sexier, to fix it. Have you seen the football field at Howard University? It's hot trash truck juice.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you that right now. Right? And the thing of it is, they're about as organized as a wet dream with absolutely no orgasm, Frank. It is absolutely shameful. So anything that Deion did, he was pouring into an empty cup to begin with, and nobody wants to have that conversation, because until you address the corruption, it doesn't matter who you appoint as savior.
Okay, great.
That's just it.
Great response. Rodney Perry, talk to me, man. Do you honestly believe that there will be another person who's going to keep on with the torch? Or do you think that, hey, it is what it is. We ain't mad at him. Deion took the money. I mean, maybe because I was thinking, I'll be honest with you all. I was thinking he started something that is going to probably be historic. I saw LeBron James give attention to it. I saw active athletes paying attention to it, and even athletes who were just getting into pro sports. And here's the biggest thing that nobody was talking about. Deion led something that nobody has ever done. He led a charge for a lot of black athletes to go to HBCUs. Now, do these kids now say, well, Deion's leaving now, let me hit the portal and leave? What's your take on that, Rodney?
It's good to see guys are up in an uproar over this because it ultimately gives attention to the HBCUs, which Deion did admirably. And you look at it. I mean, a lot of the idea. Some students don't have a choice. If the academics aren't in place, or if the money is not in place, you won't be attending Colorado State whether you like it or not. So HBCUs are necessary. To answer the question, will other athletes come? Well, Eddie George is already there. He's arguably as good as a Deion Sanders, but Deion Sanders has that other thing. He has that thing that makes him go on social media and say, "Play my theme music." He has that thing to advertise the school. He has that thing that recruits. We say recruiting is number one. Again, when you lose a father figure, that's the main problem. Because you told these kids, you gave your word, and then you took it back.
I have an issue with that too. So you brought up a great point, Rodney. Excellent point.
Yeah. So that's what hurts. But in the words of the business bully keep echoing in my head. I mean, yes, there's corruption in all football. We're still talking to NCAA, even though it's HBCUs. It's still NCAA rules.
Thank you.
So that's still a fact. All we can hope. I mean, I talked to my daughter's track coach, and there's a certain amount of integrity. When Eddie George Jr. said, "You're not HBCU," we all kind of laughed at the guy. But as we found out that Deion is not HBCU.
He ain't swag.
Can I say one thing
swag.
real quick?
He's not swag. Yeah,
He's
right.
not swag.
Can I say one thing real quick? And this is sort of off the subject. When people say the problem with black people is that they don't support HBCUs, the contradiction is I see 3 men here who have. It's the same situation when we put that bunt. Black people don't do this. Black people don't do that. But we never. It's like all fathers, all minority fathers, Hispanic or black, are called deadbeat dads off the door. But the opposite of that is every man that is in my circle is a dad and is holding down his business. So I hate when they say, "Well, black people just don't support HBCUs." Then why is there so many kids in the HBCUs?
My daughter wanted to go. My daughter at Tennessee State wanted to go. My daughter at Pine Bluff got a full scholarship.
Yep.
So, I mean, they went to a HBCU knowingly and knowing that they wanted the black experience.
Right.
Every kid is not about that.
That's true. My grandson Pitt, that was his number one school was FMU in Florida, and that's where he got accepted to.
My man Maurice Smith is joining the show. Mo, what's up, Mo? How you doing, sir? Turn your phone.
What's going on, fellas?
Turn your phone.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, okay, what's going on, fellas? I've been listening to the whole thing.
Flip your phone. So you get that other angle.
Sideways.
No, just go like this. Just go like this.
Turn your phone to the side.
Turn it like
to
this.
the side.
Yeah.
Right, don't.
Well, like this?
Yeah.
There you go.
Now sit your ass down.
There you go.
You know what, Mike?
Sit your ass down.
You know what, Mike? You know what, Mike? Yeah, I'm ready, man. I just got Mike, man. You know what? We gotta love you. We gotta love you. We got to.
It's my hair.
But no, it's far from. It's what's under the hair that we gotta love. Listen, All right, just want to say this since we were all hanging out in Boston last night. Me, Frank, Talent, Smokey. I'm gonna start this off with Boston Celtics organization. Sit your ass down. Yeah, the Celtics. Yes, Nia Long tweeted how she was disappointed how the organization handled a private situation and made it public. I can see Ime Udoka behind her when she was tweeting, going, tell him why you mad, son. Tell him why you mad. She did went on to state that no one from the organization has even reached out to neither her nor her children to see how they doing. Once again, Ime Udoka was behind her like, oh, that's what got me mad. That's what got me mad. They out here putting my business in the street. Now look at me. I'm living with my moms. Sit your ass down. Next up, Jerry Stackhouse. Sit your ass down, man.
Really?
He is the coach over at Vanderbilt. He got ejected from a game when he was playing VCU. Now, I understand protecting your players and being with your players, but you don't get ejected from the game when your record in the past 4 years is 42-58. You getting smoked in the NCAA the same way you got smoked the night you said number 45 ain't playing like number 23. Sit your ass down. Y'all done got some serious. Y'all got serious today. Charles Barkley.
Keep going, man.
Charles Barkley. Sit your ass down. Now, I would never question Charles' ability as an NBA player, arguably top 5 power forwards of all time. I would never question that. But his skills as an analyst on TV is guaranteed to suck. Charles ain't never getting it right. He never picks the right people. He never picks the right teams. He's always abusing people and hate when people talk about him. I went to Charles's house to see why is he acting like this and why does he call people out when he don't want to be called out. I rung the doorbell to get in and nobody answered the door. And then I had to remember, no ring.
Disrespectful, man. Disrespectful.
All right, we're gonna keep it moving, y'all. That was my man Mo Stampier, which is, we talked about Baker Mayfield right now. 49ers, I'm gonna bring in you, Fig, right now. The 49ers ended up winning yesterday, but they lost Jimmy G for the season, man. So now they lost Jimmy G for the season. Baker Mayfield's out there. Are they gonna do Baker Mayfield? They're gonna do Cam Newton. What you think they're gonna do, bro?
I think they're gonna fall off a cliff. And then people are going to realize how actually good Jimmy G actually was. I don't think the 49ers are going to be able to do anything. I don't care who they pick up. They are not picking up another Jimmy Garoppolo. I've been saying it for like 2 years now. This kid is a really, really good quarterback. Is he Peyton Manning? Is he Aaron Rodgers? Is he Tom Brady? Absolutely not. But can this kid get you to the dance and win you a Super Bowl when healthy? 100%, unequivocally, absolutely. Jimmy G, only problem is that he's injury prone. And I don't understand why they disrespect this quarterback like that. Ain't nobody taking his place and putting up the same numbers in San Francisco like Jimmy G did. I 100% guarantee you that the 49ers are going to fall off because they lost their starting quarterback.
Mike Sean, what's your take on this, bro? You looking at Jimmy G being gone for the season and the 49ers still beating the Dolphins is something that they can still build on, or you think it's going to hit them harder than what people are talking about?
Fix said there's nobody who's going to replace. He got replaced yesterday. The quarterback outplayed him yesterday. He outplayed him in one game.
They scored 10 points, Michael.
He still outplayed him in one game.
10 points!
Oh, my God. They beat the Dolphins. They blew out the Dolphins. The 49ers aren't about their starting quarterback. The 49ers are about a defense that's going to win them games with Jimmy in or Jimmy not in. The 49er defense before yesterday wasn't letting people score in the entire second half. All you have to do is manage the game. That's what you have to do with the 49ers. That's all they want from their quarterback. Right. I'm not going to say they're going to win the Super Bowl, but the fact that you downplay his injury proneness is the reason why you can't sign him to a big deal and crack the bank for him. That's the whole reason. Now, when we talk about Anthony Davis, oh, the injury proneness is a joke. We giggle about it. Jimmy G's the same dude. He's a very good, high quality game manager. That's what he is. He's not coming to a team and changing a bad team into a good team. What he does is manage good teams, and he does it very well. He'll manage a good team. He'll get you to the playoffs. And when you need the big pass, it won't be there. Just like it wasn't there. It wasn't there against the Rams because he's not an elite quarterback. It wasn't there in the Super Bowl when he had an open receiver. It wasn't there. Jimmy G is a good game manager.
Dave,
San Francisco will still be in the playoffs and still win a playoff game.
Dave, what's your take on Jimmy G right now, man? Do you think you agree with Mike or do you agree with Fig? Where you at with this?
My whole thing is this, Frank. If we're going to be honest, they lost Jimmy G, and so therefore what? Like,
that's coming from a great Eagles fan. Because in other words, it don't matter because everything goes through Philly, right? That's what you trying to say?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Frank. Listen, it is so cold in here, and my neck is a little stiff. Let me just go ahead and, you know what I'm saying? It's so cold. It is so cold up here. And you know what, Frank? I just need a blanket. It's rarefied air up here, Frank. It's very, very chilly. And it's not the tank top I'm wearing. It's just that when you're at the top of the mountain, you're not worried about what's happening with the crumb snatchers. You understand me? Frank, if we're being honest here, sir, if we're being honest, it's very quiet around. I don't know if we've been going to the Eagles segment, but since we're here, it's real quiet on this panel.
We didn't get there yet.
Okay, I'm just saying, we talk about Jimmy G. We don't care if we're not talking about Deion Sanders or the greatest iteration of the Philadelphia Eagles that has ever been in the NFL. We're not having box seats.
Well, Dave, I'm trying to get to the Eagles. Let me just
Take
ask.
your time. It's your show.
Let me just ask Uncle Rodney what Uncle Rodney thinks about going on right now with the 49ers and Jimmy G. How Uncle Rodney look at it. Uncle Rodney, how you looking at this Jimmy G situation with the 49ers?
You know, it's interesting to hear the likes of a Fig and hear, this guy, Philadelphia guy, yelling and screaming. When AD was injured, he was a problem. He's problematic. You heard the constant availability. Okay.
What do we hear, Uncle Rodney? What we hear?
The availability is availability.
God, dependability.
Baker Mayfield.
Oh man.
What he has in his favor is he is lily white. And whether we like to admit it or not, the white man has a shot. Until he raped somebody or sodomized some child or something, he's definitely a candidate.
Even then, look at Ben Roethlisberger.
Wow. Jimmy Garoppolo, while not one of my favorite quarterbacks, he seems to get the job done. But that's when he's on the field, and he is no longer on the field. They still got that black kid out there.
Well, he's hurt. He's hurt. He's still hurt.
He's still down.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. They don't like him. They don't like Cam Newton.
See, the problem with Cam Newton is Cam Newton. You know what I mean? But listen, the 49ers.
Nobody likes Cam for some reason.
Yeah, he can't hit the side of a bomb.
Like people like Baker Mayfield more than they like Cam Newton. So I think Mayfield will get the job, but the 49ers can come over here and sit next to me.
Ain't that the truth? Mo, what's your take on this, bro? You looking at right now the 49ers Jimmy G? Where you at on this?
Man, look, the 49ers, if they get anybody else, they're going to be a backup to the quarterback that they got now. Listen, I could go in there and be quarterback and win the Super Bowl and beat, you know what I'm saying? Listen, you got Deebo Samuels, Kittles, What's the guy that got from Carolina?
McCaffrey.
And McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Man, either one of them. We could put Rodney in there with his crock pot, and he could win the Super Bowl. Okay, with the crock pot. So they ain't got no worries. And listen, somebody said it best today on one of the sports shows I was watching. Whoever's the quarterback is playing the best defense in the NFL every day. They're not going to see nothing special from another defense out there. And I'm praying that they smoke Philly because I can't stand them.
I'll say this for the record. I don't agree with the stats that they saying there. And I'm not even a Jets fan. I think the Jets got the best defense in the league. I don't care what nobody says. And I'm not a Jets fan. Let me talk to Big. The Bengals ended up playing Kansas City, and the Bengals have now beat Kansas City 3 times in a row. They're saying they don't match up right and everything else. But
Joe Burrow.
What do you think thinking about this whole situation, bro?
I think the Cincinnati Bengals are playing well during the regular season, and it really counts when they get to the playoffs. I mean, they got to the dance and they couldn't close the deal. And if you can't close the deal, you can't consummate the marriage. You don't have a marriage. So at the end of the day, if you can't close the deal and win, you ain't got nothing going. Right, and like Rodney said, it's Cleveland.
Mike, what's your take on this, man? Because Joe Burrow is playing lights out. The Bengals are getting hot just at the right time, bro. Like they putting it together right now. So what's your take?
I mean,
it's Groundhog's Day. It's the same thing as last year. They're getting hot exactly when they got hot last year. And the one thing Kansas City's kryptonite is when you have a quarterback that can match Patrick Mahomes pass for pass, and you cancel that out. And now the rest of your teams go against each other. Your special teams, your defense, and all that. And your running game is now compared to their running game, which their running game, they don't even have Joe Mixon in. And their running back has got back-to-back 100-yard games. They don't have to blitz to get to Patrick Mahomes to harass him. They literally are getting to him with their front four, and they know how to keep him inside that pocket and not allow him to do his backspin 360 degrees between the legs, 60-yard pass down the field. The Bengals are a problem, y'all.
And they playing man too. That's the scariest thing. Nobody even talk about
I'm gonna go
that.
out on the limb and say Mike don't like Patrick Mahomes.
No, I love Patrick Mahomes, but I understand that Joe Burrows doesn't get the credit that he gets when he went to Kansas City and beat them in Kansas City at the AFC Championship last year. If Patrick Mahomes would have done that to Cincinnati, we wouldn't have heard the end of it. They'd still be talking about it.
Yeah, they probably would. Dave, what's your take on this right now? So come back down from your Philadelphia Eagles perch. Let's get on to the AFC side of things.
Yes,
let's talk about what's looking like now with the Bengals. Because like Mike said, they're getting high at the right time. Listen, the numbers are saying that too, because they didn't start out right, but they're getting it together right now. What's your take?
It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And my whole thing is, it's a lot of times like we treat the NFL sometimes how we go off on the NBA in preseason. We're like, oh, this going to be the end. For Uncle Rodney, just. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to hold up. I think the Bengals are literally poised. If they don't go all the way, they're definitely going to surprise some people. They're not getting kicked out the first round. I'm telling y'all that right now. The Bengals are going to turn up. Listen, I have the most accurate football record on this show since I've been on this show. Y'all might want to listen to me. Y'all ain't listen to me about the damn Eagles. I'm telling y'all.
When did you stop? When did them stats come out? When did
Frank? Ask the executive producer. Ask the executive producer. I don't need to answer these questions. Ask the executive producer.
Who did you pick for the Super Bowl last year? Because you ain't picked neither one of those teams.
No, I said most accurate. I didn't say perfect. Words mean things, Michael Sean.
He is the most accurate in the fact that he picked Philly every week. That alone shuts everybody out.
That's it.
Period. It's the only argument I gotta make.
And he picked them every week last year too. So we gotta keep the 2-year stats.
Rodney Perry, what is your take right now on what we looking at with the Bengals? I think it could be considered almost an upset because people didn't think the Bengals were going to go in there and beat the Chiefs, man. So what's your take on this?
Look, man, you guys can fall for the okie doke, rooting for them damn Bengals if you want to.
The okie doke.
The Bengals are going to find a way to let you down. I like the guy. I think I had Joe Burrow on my fantasy. He's a more than serviceable quarterback. He's a great guy. He's got flash and swag. I like the guy. But he played in the state of Ohio with a team called the Bengals. I've been to the stadium. I sat there with what's Monday? We mentioned his name earlier.
Gary Owen.
No, the comedian.
Gary
Owen.
Yeah, Gary Owen. That's what
I'm sorry. Well, I've sat at the stadium with Gary Owen. Those guys, they want to win, but they expect to lose. There's a lot to be said for organizations, and they will find a way to mess it up.
No doubt about that. Mo, what's your take on this, man? Because I think the Bengals are going to find a way because they still ain't got a complete other team just yet, but they up there. You know what I mean? They up there.
Listen. Them beating Kansas City don't mean nothing. That's just like the Patriots going to Miami and losing to the Dolphins back in the day. The Dolphins ain't going nowhere. All right, all roads through the NFC lead through Buffalo. Believe it or not, I don't care what nobody say. Buffalo is going to be the one standing tall at the end of it. Let's see the Bengals get through Buffalo.
Another horrible team that's going to find a way to lose.
Trash.
Yeah. I think
all right.
Buffalo looking kind of scary. My man Fig, talk to me right now about Lamar Jackson getting hurt and messing up his money. Like I don't care how you look at it and how you shape it. Lamar Jackson getting hurt is going to mess up his money because he's in the contract year. Because he ain't going to get what he wanted to get, I think, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And the Ravens barely won. You know what I mean? But they still won. A W is a W. So they might bring that all to the table. That's my take. What's your take on this, Fig? Lamar Jackson got hurt yesterday. Do you think it's going to mess up his money?
Listen, here's what I'll say. If Lamar Jackson is smart, which I believe the young man is, he won't take anything that they give him. He'll let them franchise him. And then after, he'll walk. And then let Baltimore do whatever it is that they want to do. Because let me tell you this. If you look at Lamar Jackson and compare him to any other quarterback in the NFL that is doing well, and you compare his weapons that he has on offense and the playmakers that he has on defense, Lamar Jackson doesn't have any, like absolutely none. So basically every game that they win, or everything that they do that is in a positive column is due to Lamar Jackson and his abilities on the football field. He doesn't have any help on either side of the ball. He went the first game of the season, he went into Miami, I believe, and lit them up and then lost because he didn't have a defense. Had nothing to do with Lamar Jackson. Every game that they lose on the defensive side of the ball. And it has nothing to do with him. So if you don't want to pay him, get you one of these other quarterbacks. Get you a Jimmy G, get you a Baker Mayfield, get you a Cam Newton, get you whoever you want to get, and let Lamar Jackson go to another team that actually values his abilities and what it is that he do, and then let him play for them.
Okay. Mike Sean,
or pay the man.
What's your take on this right now, man? Because Lamar Jackson got hurt. They said he's going to come back in a couple of games. And be honest with you, man, the Baltimore Ravens look like a shell of themselves without him. What's your take?
I can't really argue with what Fig's saying when it comes to weapons and stuff like that. I don't feel bad because I know he's going to make $40 million next year if they franchise him. So financially, he's good. I think he's an excellent player. I just think that the Cleveland Browns screwed up the market for quarterbacks when they gave Deshaun Watson, somebody who's never won an MVP, $250 million guaranteed. And they put every NFL team in a big quagmire, which is now, if I have a star quarterback, they want to get overpriced just like Deshaun Watson got. Now they want $251 million guaranteed. And I think every contract in the NFL should be guaranteed. First of all, I agree with that. But I don't know if I can give him that much money and put that much money in one position, but then you want me to give you playmakers on both sides of the ball.
I agree.
That is damn near impossible. Like you'll see it now. Teams have to take a sacrifice on one side of the ball unless they got young players that they have on rookie contracts, or they have older players who are playing for their last contract. And I hate to say, the Eagles have done a great job in adding two older players to their defensive line in the middle. One from the Giants and what's the name? What's the fame? I can't even think of his name. That's horrible. But that's what you got to do. But if you put yourself in that hole, I don't think you should pay a quarterback $200. I think they deserve it. I'm saying if I'm a general manager, I don't know how I actually get to put a full team together.
Dave, look at it from one point of view versus another point of view. Give me either or. What's your take on this situation right now, Lamar Jackson?
I think it comes down to systems management. It's just to me, it's no different than what's happening with Aaron Rodgers. What did Michael Sean famously say? He took all the money.
Yeah.
You have to this is not something that happens on the field. This is something that happens in the front office. Somebody in the front office, aka the GM, should say, this is the budget the owner gave me. I need to put the best possible pieces. It's like those memes they have on Instagram where it's like you got to pick your ultimate comedy headliner, and you can only have this amount of money. And like the $5 column has like Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle, George Carlin. The middle column's got Bernie Mac, Steve Harvey, and Carrot Top. Somebody else, like the $1 column's got like Gallagher, or Sarah Silverman or some stuff. You like at some point you're going to have to make certain smart choices with the $20 you got, and that's just what it is. And until we start having the conversation about financial management and stop just going off of the emotions and listen to what receding hairline Stephen A. Smith says, then we're going to continue to have these problems. This is a financial business decision. It has nothing to do with the players. All they can do is ask. All their agents can do is ask. If you're dumb enough to bend over and say yes and then sacrifice your season, that shows you should not be in the GM seat.
And undoubtedly, Rodney Perry, what's your take on this Lamar Jackson situation?
Yeah, it's sad the guy got hurt, man, but they will pay him. The coaches already said, I don't think they're willing to overhaul their whole offense. They're gonna pay the guy, man, and they should. He hasn't had a great season, but he's had a season worthy enough to where he can get his money.
Right.
We don't have to like it, but the bar has been set. Whether it's with Deshaun Watson or the young man out in Kansas City, the bar is set, and it's set high, and it's time for cats to get money. There's more black quarterbacks than ever, and pay the man.
Yeah, pay him. Mo, you get the last word on this, man. What you think about this Lamar Jackson situation?
I think it's sad that we even got to sit here and talk about Lamar Jackson like this, that he's not already getting paid. This is the one dude in the NFL that every Sunday, if this team loses, it's his fault, whether it's the defense or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, he has to carry that team. I'd like to see Lamar Jackson don't get paid by Baltimore and go somewhere like San Francisco and see what happens to Baltimore then, if they're going to be in the rankings to be a playoff team.
Right. But we got to get ready to wrap up the show because the time is up. But I also wanted to mention, real fast and say that tomorrow's show, we definitely have to talk about Trae Young because Trae Young quit on his team on Friday and got benched, and people weren't really talking about that. He got benched on Friday night's game against the Denver Nuggets, and Coach Nate McMillan got really pissed off. We're going to have to talk about that. We definitely got to talk about AD. Anthony Davis has been ripping for the Lakers. So tomorrow we're going to finish up some of this NFL stuff, and we have to revisit some of the Lakers stuff. Because the Lakers turned it around too. As much as we've been talking about the Lakers, they turned it around too.
Y'all was talking about the Lakers.
Uncle Rodney's been waiting.
What you say, Rodney?
I said y'all was talking about the Lakers. I told y'all.
Man, they listen. It ain't gonna be long before it all come tumbling down.
Yeah, definitely ain't.
They'll find a way to mess it up.
They got the one.
They're a winning organization, and this time it's good to see them winning.
Fig, tell everybody out there how they can follow you, bro.
You can follow me on social media platforms at Comedian Fig. But the fans at the Garden said it best about Trae. They said Trae is balding.
Wow.
And that's why he quit on this team. Because he's balding.
Tell everybody out there how they can follow you, bro.
Hit me at Mike Shaw Comedy. Check out the morning show Monday through Friday on the East Coast on Media Room 360 on all platforms, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then it's followed by Uncle Rodney, who comes on right after. So check us out.
Hey, Dave, talk to me.
Yeah, you can follow me at the Eagles beat the pants off of the Titans.org. And also at the Business Bully on all social media platforms.
Hilarious. My man, Rodney Perry. How we follow you, bro? And how's the movie going, by the way?
I only had a day on there. I just had to work a day. And I got another movie I got to work 2 days on next week. Rodney Perry live on all social media, man. And it was actually a really dope scene, It's one of those things you put on your reel, but it's going to be dope.
What's the movie? What's the movie? Who's starring in it? Or you can't say.
What's the old boy's name?
Oh wow. As you know, you've been around.
Ask me tomorrow.
Rodney, I didn't know that your wife gonna be mad at your scene.
I ain't getting no nothing naked.
Okay, and my man Mo, everybody that they can follow you, bro.
Mo_comic on Instagram, Maurice Smith on Facebook. You know, that's about it.
So Mo, I want to thank Mo for coming out last night to Brown Sugar Sundays. I want to thank Talent. I was hoping Talent would be here today. Talent, for those of you sitting at home, Talent destroyed the stage last night. Talent is amazing.
Yeah.
Spoken here too, man.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, they doing their thing, man. We're gonna do another Brown Sugar Sundays, January 8th. So if you're in Boston, come through. If you're not in Boston, we hope we're giving you enough time to come through. The show we're doing right now is called Box Seats. We talk about sports with these comedians. So I want to thank Fig. I want to thank Dave, Mike, Rodney Perry, Mo for obviously doing the show. Tomorrow we got some more stuff to follow up with. Like a lot of this NBA stuff is jumping off. Of course, we're gonna talk about Jimmy G, Cam Newton, the rest of these things. But it's the show. It's called Box Seats. We hope to see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Y'all take care.